something that I haven't somehow not really talked about on this show is how important a headphone mix is. I mean, especially for singers, right? What's your headphone mixer philosophy when it comes to just making music?
Headphone mixes are everything.
Everything.
I would rather the headphones sound more amazing. Like if I had to pick a more amazing sound, like I'd rather the headphone mix be killing while I work out the in control room mix for myself later. You know, if it's a full band and we have the luxury of mixer systems, you know, like a private queue or some of the other Furman or
Hearback,
or some of those things, that can be great. It definitely takes a load off the engineer to an extent.
Yeah, right.
It can also be very overwhelming for certain artists. So when using a system like that, I'm always, and with the, you know, house staff or assistants are on this as well, constantly throughout the day or first thing in the day, making sure that those are set nicely. And I talk to the artists and every one of the musicians as well, band members or studio players or whatever, before, you know, giving them the headphones, you know, just a quick conversation. You know these things? Have you used this thing before? You know, I'm sure you have, you know, but here's kind of, I like to set the master like around noon or 2:00, you know, it will go super loud, you know, so like, here's kind of how I do it. Cause that way, then you've got a little headroom to, you know, some play to give yourself some more overall volume. And then just kind of, and I'll do it too. I love the private cues and they all have this, I think, where I can have my own headphones as I'm showing them this and I'm building the mix for us, you know, and so I always kind of give them a starter, make sure they understand where everything is labeled really clear. And then unless there's an issue, I won't mess with their settings because they're going to make themselves at home and get something that works for them. And until I hear that, you know, hey, I'm all the way up on blah, 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 and I can't get more, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Let's run out there. Oh, I see what happened. You know, you turned your master fader down and everything's cranked. So I'm going to turn all these down and I'll just walk them through it again right there with my headphones. There might be a million things going on. I'm doing this really fast. Like, I got you. Here's what happened. We'll bring this back. I'm going to bring this up. Is this cool? You like, you know, and I'm not doing it blind or deaf as the case may be, you know, like I'm doing it listening and quickly putting it together, something that I think sounds good. So, you know, those systems are great once people know how to set themselves up. Yeah. And so the caveat being like, I always pre-mix all those boxes to a way, and I'll sit at every location and listen and set up a mix that I think they'll dig. So when they put the headphones on, their ideal response is like, oh, here, let me show you this mixer. And like, oh, I mean, it sounds great. You know, like I'm good. Let's go. You know, that's like the goal, you know?
Yep.
And if that works out, then it's really, of course, it becomes really handy because it takes some work off of me as an engineer to chase every player's individual requests. And if there's a lot of players, that can be a lot of requests.
Yeah.
So the other side of that, which is probably much more applicable to the majority of listeners and home recording people and even a lot of studios, is just like, I'm in tons of situations, my studio included, where you get what I'm hearing, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a great simplicity to that. There's a great benefit to that as well, because you're hearing what I'm hearing. So I'm always tinkering with things and trying to make it as good as possible. Unlike the boxes, it's much less of a set it and forget it. Mm-hmm. Now, the flip side of that, of course, is any changes that I want to make, even on input, you know, like they're going to hear those things. And so I make all of those changes during a recording pass. Like I try not to do it during a recording pass, but if I have to, you know, very, very subtle moves.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Good point. And very subtle moves always during recording on the input side. You know, if I'm kind of peaking on getting a lot too many overs on, you know, let's say wow, the singer's really singing a lot louder than that first pass, and we're in a recorded take, I'm going to find either a fully variable fader on the output of the mic pre or something like that. Or if there's only detented options, I'll pick a spot where they're taking a breath and I've heard this part before, and I'll click it down real fast in a moment that won't ruin the recording. But even if you're not recording and you're making changes to what they're listening to, the rhythm section track that's pre-recorded and we're in overdub land, it's very easy for me to, yes, I've got an ear on what they're singing and everything, but the bass should be louder, and I forgot the percussion's muted, don't do any of that stuff, or certainly don't turn on percussion when they're in the middle of, a pass. I might turn up the bass, but I'll do it on the playback, fader very gently, so I'm always trying to be very aware of
what's going. Yeah.
They're hearing what I'm hearing. So, and one of the bummers with that limited setup, of which there are relatively few. There's great case to be made for just keep it simple. One of the downsides with that, of course, is if someone needs click and there's only one, the headphones are a mirror of the mix bus. That means I'm going to be listening to a bunch of click too, which is not ideal. Much rather be you got the click knob on it's channel 7, turn it up. Everybody else can turn it down, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not listening to it. I will always keep it, if I'm on a console, I'll keep that click in the mix enough so that when everybody stops playing and I'm still recording, just to catch any extra magic, the click's on, let me turn that off,
Yeah.
So it's just not blasting. I like to be in record in between takes because some incredible stuff can happen. And if that click's going, A, it's going to be super obnoxious, and B, they'll know a recording is happening. And I want them to not be self-conscious about that stuff. So.